Empty buildings full of problems. City officials say there are so many abandoned and neglected buildings in Tulsa, they're taking it to a state level to try to get some help. 2 News anchor Aaron Christie takes a closer look at the problem and how leaders are hoping to fix it in tonight's segment 2.
We have a proliferation of buildings now.
North Tulsa, at least 50 arsons in 1 year in a 1-mile stretch.
The problem is so bad.
Downtown, the historic Tulsa Club building set on fire at least 3 times.
We're seeking legislative help.
South Tulsa, a nearly $500,000 home sits burned to a crisp for months. Homes and buildings with one thing in common. They're vacant and sometimes neglected by the owners. And now the people who live by them, have businesses by them, have to suffer the consequences. And it's a problem in every nook of our city.
It was bothersome to everyone.
Lori Fletcher lives in an upscale gated community in South Tulsa. A large, uninsured spec home in her neighborhood went up in flames twice and then sat looking like this for nearly 9 months while owners and contractors battled it out. Eventually, she says no one was taking care of it.
It smelled bad. There was glass broken everywhere, and it was just really an ugly sight.
Neighbors complained of trespassers and mice. Mosquitoes and frogs were rampant from an unkempt fountain. Traffic slowed for people to stare, and it was the biggest burden for neighbors trying to sell their homes.
No one was really interested because they weren't sure how long it would take for that to go away.
Dwayne Majette with the city of Tulsa says homes within 150 feet of a neglected property have a net loss of $7,500.
That's just as criminal to me as just allowing that kind of structure to exist.
The city of Tulsa spent nearly $450,000 in 2010 on abandoned and neglected buildings. They reduced tax revenues, and he says they're a haven for criminals and drug addicts who often use them as a place to cook meth. Majette is now hoping the state will step in and pass legislation that would allow cities to go to court to get ownership of the properties.
It gives municipalities a chance to take possession of the property and then dispose of those properties in a way that would help revitalize the neighborhoods.
As it stands now, owners with abandoned properties are required to register with the city of Tulsa. There's a $50 registration fee, and they have a certain amount of time to get the problems fixed. Failure to fix the problem will land the owners a $1,000 a day fine plus possible jail time. But what ends up happening is the fines exceed the value of the property, and then the owner can't be found.
Many times they're not here in town.
Author of proposed legislation, Representative Seneca Scott of Tulsa says many times the owners are out-of-state investors. He points to this boarded-up eyesore at 5th and South Peoria. Tracking down the owner has also been one of the biggest hiccups in the legal wranglings of the Tulsa Club building. The downtown high-rise has attracted vandals, arsonists, and the California-based owner has racked up more than $330,000 in fines. Representative Scott urges critics of the bill away from thinking he just wants the state to start snatching up properties.
We're not in the business of eliminating more housing. We just want to get it back up into productive use.
In Tulsa, the biggest problem areas are considered transition neighborhoods on the cusp of revitalization, like near Charles Page Boulevard, where this historic home was recently demolished by the county because it was neglected by the owners. The proposed state law is a work in progress. Lawmakers say, in the meantime, stay informed. Call your city councilor. Lori Fletcher says that's the only thing that worked for her neighborhood. That burned-out South Tulsa home was eventually torn down by the city, a process she says in the current system takes too long. Aaron Christie, 2 News works for you.
Representative Scott's bill made it past a committee, but he hopes to rewrite it and push it again this next session.